They are telling me that I am live. Oh boy. Let me go ahead and pour this little martini here, and then we will get down to business. I'd use gin instead of vodka. I was all out of vodka, so we'll see how this works out. I'm sure it will be fantastic. Just a bit dirty. I actually got a recipe for this martini, which I'm drinking out of. You might not be able to see it there on the stem. The stem is actually the year 2000. So this is a 21-year-old glass. Old enough to fuck, baby. Old enough to party. Old enough to have a good time. Old enough to join us on the Savage Sacktap here tonight. I used a recipe I got out of Roger Stone's book. I love Raj. You gotta respect a jacked old man who fuck, like, he goes to fucking orgies to fuck his wife, and he loves martinis and dressing like a Batman villain. But I got a gin martini recipe out of his book that I guess Nixon used, and they said you put a little of the vermouth into, you pour out some of the olive juice, or whatever the fuck it is, in the glass with the olives, and you replace it with vermouth, put that back in the fridge, so it makes a nice dirty martini mix. But we're getting off track to start the show. I've had a very busy day. My mind is quite scattered, and I should get back to business. Because right now you see big tits on the screen. And when you see big tits on the screen, that means we are about the business of podcasting and the business of reminding you, the listener or the viewer, to check us out. Facebook.com/The Savage Crew. Perhaps you're watching there. If you are, hit the like or the follow or whatever series of buttons you can hit to signal your approval for the work that is being done here this Friday night. Twitter @Mike Montone, same thing. YouTube, you look for Mike Montone and the Savage Sacktap, and it'll come up. I believe we do have enough for a vanity URL right now. I gotta look into how to do that. I am a very busy man, so some of these best practices take me a moment to get down. But you can find the podcast, of course, the Savage Sacktap, all over the fucking internet. The savagecrew.libsyn.com is the sort of primary site. And of course, we're iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Pocket Cast, pretty much wherever you can find a podcast, you should be able to find the Savage Sacktap. And of course, if there's a spot where you can't find it, where you'd like to see it, let me know, and I'll see if I get the old RSS feed plugged in. And I mentioned best practices just a moment ago, and one would think that it would be a best practice to tweet the link to the live streams to take advantage of some of my followership here, which I have not done. And the reason for that is because I wanted to kind of get a hang of this software I've been using, StreamYard, before I started pushing it out to people. So if you're in the Facebook group or you've been following me on YouTube, congratulations. You're basically a beta tester for this whole thing. But we will be in the weeks and months to come. I will be tweeting out links right as we go live, so people know where to find it. Because that was a very legitimate gripe that a handful of people have had, and I will be happy in the very near future to remedy that. But until then, tell your friends. At the start of every show and at the end of every show, we put a big, heaving, whopping pair of breasts on the screen, as you can see right now. And that's when I plug the social and remind you to like and share and subscribe and tell your friends. And now we'll get into a little podcasting, because Tony Hinchcliffe has stirred controversy, Bill Gates has been slinging his dick, and Bill de Blasio continues to suck at his job. Tourists are welcome to come for a bite of the Big Apple, but the slice they're getting these days is to the face with a razor blade. It's Friday night. The feeling's right for a little live streaming. A fresh episode of the Savage Sacktap starts right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sacktap. It's not a podcast, it's not a half-cast, it's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sacktap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
What do we got here? Just want to make sure. Yes, the appropriate Chiron is up. Sometimes I'm a silly boy and I forget to change the Chirons, and I look like a buffoon, but I am Mike Montone. This is the Savage Sacktap. For the first time in almost 2 months, I believe, we are beginning the show without laundry talk. So praise Jesus. Jesus, yeah, I mean, he was. I know many of you are probably very happy about that. You're probably sick of the fucking laundry saga, as it were. We are going to begin this evening with a couple of issues in the world of comedy. And I gotta be honest, I don't know how SNL is even still on the air. I'm not going to show a single clip from this fucking show they had with Elon Musk last week. And honestly, based on the uproar surrounding his appearance on the show going into that Saturday night, if this were to have occurred in a vacuum, you would have believed that they purposely, because they, for whatever reason, the SNL writers and cast don't like Elon Musk, which is such a weird fucking thing, by the way. He's a fascinating guy, but he's not like he shouldn't inspire hatred. You know what I mean? It's very, very strange. But I tuned in because such a big deal was made of it. And had this occurred in a vacuum, you would have thought that the writers purposely wrote a dog shit episode because they wanted Elon Musk to look bad, which he actually, I thought he was better than most of the regular cast there. But the show was fucking atrocious. They didn't want to work with Elon Musk, so this was the whole story leading up, because I don't watch Saturday Night Live, but I'm like, all right, whatever, it's kind of a thing, like if Burr or Chappelle is hosting, or if there's a host of note, or if there's a controversy going on, you kind of like to tune in, because it's a talker. That's pretty much it. You're tuning in to see what people will be talking about. You're not tuning in to be entertained in the sense that you were back in the Chris Rock or the Will Ferrell or the Belushi years, but back when this was a comedy show, and the goal of Saturday Night Live was to make people laugh and not to make whatever the cultural statement du jour is on Twitter. But yes, after years of having, Hollywood pedos, and I believe O.J. Simpson, acquitted murderer, but convicted kidnapper, they finally put their foot down with the Dogecoin guy. Yeah, the weirdo who smoked a blunt. I almost wonder if it's just that they're jealous that he got to smoke a blunt with Rogan, and none of them are funny enough to go anywhere near Rogan, so they're cranky and pissed off. But it was fucking awful. The cold open sucked ass. It was a cold open. It was ice. It was a fucking corpse. That's fantastic, by the way. The gin adds a little something. Try it out. It was awful. It was Mother's Day weekend, so they all brought their mothers out with them, and they riffed a kind of joke with the mom, and then they'd move on to the next one, and none of them were any good. I'm not going to repeat any of them. If you want to put yourself through it, it's on YouTube. By all means, fucking help yourself. I work for a comedy show, a comedy radio show. We didn't bring our mothers in for Mother's Day because our mothers aren't funny. The only mother of note involved in the show that I work for abandoned her son on the night of the last Monday Night Nitro ever, when he was heating up a pizza and getting ready to be delighted by an evening of men in spandex grappling in a firm embrace. But of course, the evening was ruined by his mother's departure. But beside the point, it was just fucking awful. Like, it was, like I said, if you were told this happened in a vacuum, you would think they purposely just bungled it to sabotage Elon Musk. But this has been going on forever. They're just not very funny. Kate McKinnon, for all of the fucking applause she gets over everything she fucking does, you start watching her and you're like, oh, every impersonation is the same thing. She just kind of talks like a dude and makes this weird, like, lean-in face. And it's like she does that, and that's when it's like implied that now you are to laugh because this is a strong, powerful LGBTQ woman on a prominent comedy show, lampooning our patriarchal male political figures. So we have to find that funny. Except it's not. It's just fucking awful. They did this. They did this Gen Z hospital. It was terrible. A good premise, right? Because members of Generation Z, as does every sort of youth generation, they speak in this weird language that makes them to, the older people, it makes them sound fucking retarded, but they understand. It makes perfect sense. I hear them doing it at the gym all the time. I've sort of picked up the lingo, They use words like, bet is a big one that they use, and that was sort of the basis of the sketch. Gen Z Hospital was they were communicating about a horrible, it was like an ailment or a car crash or something like that in this sort of Gen Z slang speak. So okay, a reasonable premise, but it's just it was just poorly executed. I mean, it's actually a bad show. And they just do shit like after Hillary lost, they had Kate McKinnon playing Hallelujah, and they all sang like it was supposed to be this tender moment. And it was like, no, you're supposed to be the clowns. You're supposed to fucking make fun of shit, goof on stuff. You funny people see you guys having Kate McKinnon as Hillary Clinton play Hallelujah, and they make fun of you for it because it's so fucking embarrassing that you would do something like that. So yeah, it was just more terrible fucking dreck from these fucking people. I actually, at one point, going into like after the first commercial break, there was a car commercial, and it wasn't like a funny car commercial. It was just for like a luxury car, one of the ones where they're cruising through some random fucking hills, and I legitimately believed this to be a Saturday Night Live sketch. Like, I was waiting for the hammer at the end. And then they, how SNL kind of takes you back in from commercial. They flash that graphic on screen for a quick second, and then they fade in. I was taken aback. Like, I was like, oh, holy shit. I thought that boring car commercial was a Saturday Night Live sketch. The two were indiscernible. That is how bad this fucking show has gotten. Moving on, because I really do not want to give those losers too much of my time. And there are a few talented people, like the Weekend Update guys do a good job, but that's kind of its own little entity. And then there was one other dude who I got a couple chuckles out of. He's like a little white guy. I don't know. Maybe that's just the male chauvinist in me. Maybe I can't appreciate the BBW and LGBTQ women and men of whatever the fuck. I don't know. Speaking of problems caused by white males in comedy, I don't know if you guys have seen the Tony Hinchcliffe video. If you haven't, we're gonna dive into this bad boy right now. Where is it? There it is. I believe unfortunately, I will have to get those tits off of the screen because they're in the way. I know how sad you are to see them go. Farewell, tits. They'll be back at the end of the show. You guys know the deal now. You know that we start and end every episode of the Savage Sacktap with massive heaving bosoms. But let's get a look at this video.
Give it up for the one and only Tony Hinchcliffe. Watching you puking in a fucking bucket. Oh, we making a gunpowder.
Now let me ask you guys something. Your first impression of this. Does Tony Hinchcliffe, does this sound like a coming from a place of genuine hate for what we are calling the AAPI, the Asian American Pacific Islander community? I hope, oh shit. I don't know what the fuck I just did there. Big whoops. Sorry, guys. I think I kicked myself out of the broadcast. This is what happens when you get saucy while, how embarrassing. Now, to the point that I was making before I so amateurishly fucked that up. Do we think that that Tony Hinchcliffe is he speaking from a place of genuine hate? I want you to hold on to that thought, as you've already heard a bit of it, and we'll go through more. Think to yourself, does it sound like he's coming from a place of genuine hate for the Asian American Pacific Islander community? Let's get a little more.
Oh, you want extra soy sauce? Oh, you borrow money from us, and you guys just eating it up, you fucking puss. Give it up for the one and only. For the filthy little fucking chink that was just up here. All you fucking race traders are hooping in.
Sorry, I fucked up again. I keep fat fingering things.
Watching you puking in a fucking bucket. Oh, we making a gunpowder. Oh, you want extra soy sauce? Oh, you borrow
Remember,
money from us.
if you're laughing at home right now, you're a bad person.
Give it up for the one and only Tony Hinchcliffe.
I guess that was it. I guess that's the entire clip. But let me tell you something. People are fucking pissed. I saw it. I saw the clip, and I thought the guy at first was sharing it like, hey, look at this hilarious way that Tony Hinchcliffe roasted me after I came up. But people are fucking furious about this. And I have noticed a common thread amongst the people who are furious about it. They, for the most part, all claim to kind of work in comedy or be comedians or writers or whatever. But one look at their Twitter profiles betrays the fact that none of them can tell a joke for shit. Like, none of them are actually funny. Like, you go to their fucking Twitter profiles, don't even have jokes. It's just all this shit about fucking Palestine and rent strikes and socialism and what the fuck have you. But we'll go through a few. We have this woman. I'm gonna try to avoid doing first and last names here because I'm gonna fucking, everyone's a nut these days. But this lady, she calls herself Kath. She's a Democratic Socialist comedian from Brooklyn. Yeah, probably. When you hear Democratic Socialist comedian from Brooklyn, you know you're dealing with a barrel of laughs. Like, I think the only one of the, like, Cumtown is very funny, and I believe those guys lean that way. But otherwise, just complete fucking pains in the ass. Well, what did Kath say? It's so funny that these type of guys always talk about the brotherhood of comedy and shit, and then go up and shit all over somebody they're performing with. Like, the main problem is obviously the racism, but talking about another comic like that is so fucking rude and hypocritical. Oh my fucking god. Like, you would think that someone who describes herself as a comedian would understand, one, context, and two, what fucking joking and shitting on someone as a fucking goof is. Like, to think that Tony Hinchcliffe, especially with his, like, comedic reputation, like, he's known for just saying wild, fucked up stuff, is going to waste his stage time to go on a crass rant about Asians after one just brought him up when he knows that everyone's filming. Like, it's just so stupid that it's beyond comprehension. Like, he was shitting on the guy as like, hey, thanks for bringing me up. I'm Tony Hinchcliffe. What I do is shit on people in a horrible way. I'm gonna fucking goof you. And we've had this whole Asian American Pacific Islander thing. They're getting knocked out left and right in the city. They're getting attacked. They're getting attacked by guys who are on like PCP, but it's getting conflated with some kind of some sort of hate or race thing, I guess, because of Trump and the Kung flu and the Wuhan flu. And yes, I do see a couple of you commenting. Roland Perez, what the fuck? Dustin Landry, operator error. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that did occur. We must own it when such things happen. But yeah, Like, to think that Tony Hinchcliffe is, like, he's, like, so, like, he's a fucking... He's an open micer from some, like, redneck town in Alabama, and he thinks that that's what the crowd's gonna love, is him doing a bunch of anti-Asian stuff. Because he's like, yeah, this room hates yellow people, so I'm gonna go up there with the chink material. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, it's just so fucking stupid. This is beyond parody. Like, you would have to... It's almost as if there was just some vendetta for Tony Hinchcliffe, which I don't know. Maybe there is. But fucking... And they were just like, all right, we got the thing. Because it's just so wildly out of context and stupid. If Tony Hinchcliffe did something like that to me, I would share it as a point of pride. I'd be like, this is so fucking cool. I got dumped on by a hilarious comic. But moving on, we have another gentleman who refers to himself as a small business owner and receipts provider. Yes. Imagine priding yourself, by the way, on being a receipts provider. If you're not hip to the lingo, what keeping receipts means is when you hold on to things from the past and you use them in the future in a sort of sociopathic manner to go up and fuck up somebody's life. Now, once in a while, there may be like a Harvey Weinstein or a Bill Cosby. Yes, keep those receipts. But the more often than not, what it refers to is sort of like a Kevin Hart situation where he gets, he gets the Oscars gig or whatever the fuck it was he got, and he used the word fag 5 years ago, which, like, I used, 5 minutes before running this stream, I probably used that fucking word. And people like this will search their name and a bunch of objectionable words to see if they've ever used them on social media, and when they strike gold and find them, they will take those, and those are the receipts, and they will provide them, because why seek to better yourself when you can simply mine the internet for receipts and then provide them and receive your kudos in that manner? What a piece of shit. Here's a receipt. Eat a dick. And this guy has a pride flag and a raised fist in his profile picture, which I don't... It's a bit unclear over whether the raised fist is like a protest thing or if it's just in search of like an orifice to penetrate. Perhaps he can clarify, but the tweet continues, and this is the part where, well, I haven't even gotten to the tweet. I was just reading his profile. My deepest apologies. You can see I'm a bit rattled by that operator error from before. His tweet is, does @Netflix plan to keep this person's comedy special on their roster? Just wondering. And of course he has a screen grab of Tony Hinchcliffe, the Golden Pony's Netflix special, and this guy describes himself as a small business owner. What an amazing piece of shit of a small business owner to target somebody else's livelihood. Like, can you imagine how he would feel as a business owner if someone were to dig into his past and find, I'm sure he said something fucked up about somebody or something or done something horrible somewhere, right? We are humans. We are flawed. We are so deeply flawed. All of us have receipts to be found. Boxes full. Closets full. Storage lockers full. So I would love for someone to dig up the receipts on this jerk off and find out what kind of sneaky shit he's been up to. Who else? We have another woman who claims to be a comedian says, "Hey Pang, do you have any sets, a Patreon, or an album online that people could promote or buy? I would love to support you in some material way, and I'm sure many other people do too. I am so sorry this happened." Again, what kind of fucking comedian apologize? Could you imagine going to someone after, like, watching them get fucking roasted or just eviscerated by one of their peers and apologizing to them? Who the fuck does that? How can you be in the business of laughter and then apologize to somebody who just got roasted? Like, being mean is one of the most important elements of comedy. Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle were talking about this, and I forget what the line was, but it was basically like, sometimes the funniest jokes involve something very mean being said about someone, and they had a great way of putting it, though. It was much more, it was like, reading fucking Kipling with those two. But the point taken, yes, mean comedy is the most fun comedy. Comedy that comes from a dark place, that challenges our most difficult conceptions. That's what we want. We want to say, or to put it more simply, we want to see people get shit on because it's fun. It's fun to watch other people suffer, isn't it? And by the way, that tweet actually did give me pause. Because, and this isn't to say that the Chinese or the Asians, I don't know if this guy Peng, his name is, which I believe it's Chinese, I could be wrong, but this isn't to say that, Asians are crafty because of the way the Viet Cong outmaneuvered us, or the way the Chinese have stolen all our data. This isn't to cast aspersions on Asians. No, none of that. There is no place for... Let me make it perfectly clear that there is no place for that. But it did give me pause upon seeing this to wonder, what if Mr. Pang here is just being an opportunist, right? Everything in the news right now is attacks on members of the AAPI community, which apparently have been skyrocketing, right? And it could be a terrifying time for those people. It's not for us to assume that it's not. But if he is, and savvy, web savvy, understands how this works, he knows that if he tweets that of Tony Hinchcliffe, referring to him that way, describing him that way, in that overacted sort of hillbilly KKK angry racist manner that we saw there, which we must now take at face value to be Tony Hinchcliffe's feelings towards the AAPI community. It is possible, and again, this is not to accuse anyone of anything, or to imply anything about anyone, but it is possible, then, that he knew that this would cause a viral stir, thus elevating his position in the woke comedians community. And we do know that part of social Marxism that we've been dealing with these past many years, and remember when people said it was going to stay on college campuses? No, it didn't. It would be a rather crafty move to post something like this, knowing that it would be viewed out of context by the idiotic masses, and that you could benefit. And the offer of people supporting your Patreon or watching your videos has been made. So, who's to say that that's not the case? But again, to sort of circle back as we wrap this up, this was clearly Tony Hinchcliffe making fun of the fact that there apparently are people out there who hate and are aggressive towards Asians. He was caricaturing those people. He was making them appear buffoonish, as though a comedian would be sitting in the green room listening to a crowd cheer for an Asian comic, and instead of being focused on his set and the jokes that he was going to tell, his blood would be boiling at the thought of a Chinaman getting laughs. Not the Oriental. Oh no! Did someone take that out of context? Please. That is. Anyway, I mean, we've all heard the sort of hacky, I believe in The Simpsons they had Rainier Wolfcastle doing stand-up. He does the, I just flew in from Germany and boy are my arms tired. When we hear someone make that joke, are we to believe that that comedian has just used the flapping of their arms to achieve the miracle of flight and land on a stage to then tell jokes to the crowd? Because if we are taking Tony Hinchcliffe's China Asian rant at face value, then we have to take jokes like that at face value. Like, that's it. Now everything a comedian says on stage is serious and real, and it's not a fucking TED Talk, okay? You fucking idiots. I mean, it's really, this is what they want. They want everyone to go up and do 15 minutes on how Trump sucks. The problem is, Trump is no longer in office. He can't tweet anymore. He's providing no more material, and he's gone. So he is apparently running in 2024. So once the rallies start up, maybe you'll get something out of him. But for now, there's nothing. Now it's literally just we have to find things to get mad about because we're not funny. That's it. All these fucking jerk-offs had was Trump. And whether you liked Trump or didn't like Trump, if you're a fan of of laughter, then you have to at least make that concession. But what utter fucking losers. Okay. Moving on. Because there is much more to discuss. I'll stop the screen share there. We will head now from the Orient to the city of New York, the concrete jungle where dreams are made of, although I will say that these days those dreams are much more like a nightmare. The good news is they caught the guy who shot the toddler in Times Square, so that's nice. And then Bill de Blasio celebrated, I believe, by eating a burger during a press conference. Someone commented the video of it the other day on the Facebook page, and I forget what it was. I was watching it while I literally just coming out of a fucking nap, and my afternoon naps. I feel like a fighter coming to after getting knocked out. So I was watching the video and laughing, but I forget what it was in reference to. I think he was eating it was like Shake Shack or something like that. But in any case, the good news is they did catch the guy who shot the toddler in Times Square. The bad news is there was, of course, a cop was shot, I believe, in Brooklyn the other night. And woe be the tourist who was stabbed with a screwdriver in the Lower Manhattan subway station. Yeah, ooh. I pity the fool who gets stabbed with a screwdriver in a Lower Manhattan subway station. Here's CBS New York, my former employer, reports a tourist visiting New York City with his family was stabbed with a screwdriver in Lower Manhattan. Apologized for the redundancy over the weekend, according to police. The victim, 43, was stabbed in the chest and arm and taken to the hospital in stable condition. He and his family were visiting from Ecuador, police said. Police said the screwdriver used in the attack was filed down. Just fantastic. More wonderful advertising for New York City. Austin is opening new clubs and restaurants and thriving. There's some cities are investing in brain power by offering people, tax breaks or relocation bonuses. Not New York. New York is charging people more money. They're going to tax people more, and they will. If you walk the streets, you may be treated like an inmate who ratted on a member of MS-13. Like, literally, the streets, what they want to do is charge people more to live and work in a prison yard. This is amazing. I gotta show you guys this video, and hopefully I don't fucking bungle this the way I did the last one. And I'm gonna X a couple things out to ensure that I do not bungle it once more. Let me attempt this share screen. Uno momento. Let's have a look-see, huh? Let's watch this one. This is fucking wild. Oh! Jesus! Look at this is the guy's girlfriend is just horrified. What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, who the fuck does this? I mean, that's the only thing to say is what kind of piece of shit does this, and I hope You guys are seeing it. Okay, thank God I wasn't just watching it by myself there. This is just a fucking an animal, and he has the worst part about this. Well, the savage beating is the worst part, but I don't know if you guys can see. If you look closely, it looks like his jeans are cuffed. You never want to get the shit kicked out of you by a guy in cuffed jeans. That's something you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your life. But just what a fucking... This isn't like a residential neighborhood, too. This isn't like... What happened was they got into a little fender, but I have the article. I'm going to go through it because the witness statement, it just sounds fucking awful. But here we go. And there's this guy's just standing here kind of watching with his hat on backwards like he's fucking Dan Cortez. He took his wallet. This motherfucker is just laid out on the street. And he took his shit, too. This is it. This is New York City in 2021. Jungle law applies. I mean, this can... If you've seen the movie Gangs of New York, tell me how this is not a scene out of Gangs of New York. Like, I'll wait. Because this is literally, like, fucking the Dead Rabbits and whatever the fuck those guys were. This is what they did. They beat the shit out of you, and then they took stuff off of your unconscious body, and they left you in the street. I mean, this is just fucking... And there are people standing around. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if that guy was, the victim or what. This group should be rushing this guy and beating the fucking shit out of him. And I realize it's, easier said than done. If that was me and, like, my college football buddies or, like, Marine Corps friends, obviously a different situation. But just what a fucking... Oh, because that guy's got a Yankees hat on. Of course he's a fucking pussy. Those guys, they talk... Yankees fans talk plenty, but you guys are all fucking pussies. Yeah, what a fucking piece of shit this guy is. His girlfriend looks horrified. Look at him. Just look how fucking... He looks like... he looks like Steven Seagal got in shape for his latest role and cut his hair. I mean... It's a, awful piece of shit. Just what an unreal piece of fucking shit. I'm gonna stop sharing that anyway, and we'll come back here. But I mean, the guy. Okay, so the guy who did this is 27 years old, and he attacked the guy he beat up. One of them was 55. Who even has the fucking energy to do that? I mean, he was just pummeling the fuck out of them. Who's driving around that pent up? And the girlfriend, like, how is she with this guy? Like, this could not have been an isolated incident. Like, generally speaking, the first time you lose your cool in traffic, it doesn't devolve into pummeling the fuck out of a 55-year-old man and his son and stealing their wallets. Generally speaking, you would say you build up to something like that. He's got to be a nightmare to date. Like, is she like? Where's that relationship going? Are they gonna get married? Are they gonna have kids? Can you imagine this guy coaching Little League? What the fuck happens if this guy doesn't like the umpire's strike zone. He thinks he's squeezing his starting pitcher, and there's a row of aluminum bats hanging out of a fucking chain link fence, and this guy's like, if Timmy paints the outside corner and this cocksucker calls ball 4, I am going to bash his fucking brains in with a fucking, what was the good bat back in the day? Was it the Black Magic? I think that was one of them. What was the guy started showing up with graphite bats? It was awesome. Started fucking blasting the ball. Yeah. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna pummel the umpire within an inch of his life with a baseball bat like he's Al Capone and then steal his little ball and strike clicker? Jesus. And here's the thing. I was done prepping this segment. It was just going to be the slashings, the child being shot in front of the fucking Hard Rock Cafe or next to a Spider-Man. It's Times Square is Disney World now. Yeah, fucking Disney World if the Pulse nightclub shooter went there instead while he was in Orlando. It's just a fucking that bomb. That was poorly worded. I'm sorry. To the victims of both shootings and to anyone who likes a well-worded joke. I forgot what the guy's name. Oh, it was Omar Martini? Omar Martin? Ah, fuck. See, if I had known his name, it would have gone smoother. Fuck! God damn it. Anyway, I was done prepping, which it's becoming a weekly thing. A month ago, it was This Week in Cancel Culture. Now it's This Week in New York City is a fucking shithole on de Blasio's watch. But I was done prepping the segment, and then I check out the New York Post as I do first thing every morning, and I see 3 people slashed, 1 punched in chain of attacks on New York City subway train. And I know what you're thinking. Mike, you just did a story about someone being slashed. Why are you doing it again? Well, let me tell you, folks, because it's a separate slashing. The first slashing was with a filed-down screwdriver, like in a prison yard, but on the subway. This was, I believe, with a knife, and more people were attacked. So there are important distinctions between these slashings. 2 men randomly attacked 4 strangers during a terrifying 12-minute span along 3 different subway stops early Friday in Manhattan, slashing 3 people and punching another, police said. Well, at least one of them only got punched. That's kind of a nice thing. And we have had, this is not an isolated, because people might want to say, well, the city's got to come out of lockdown and etc. This is like, when I was working in the news industry, there were a couple, it was like clockwork. Once every 6 months, 8 months or so, there'd be a new slashing spree on de Blasio's watch. I mean, this is vintage de Blasio here that he's giving us in his last year in office. It's almost like he's on a farewell tour. He's in his last year, he's going around, he's playing the hits. Maybe we'll have a terrorist attack too. Who the fuck knows? Maybe someone will drive over some bicyclists on the West Side Highway bike path. Maybe he'll eat pizza with a fork again. Who the fuck knows? Maybe this is actually what de Blasio means when he says the city is back. Back in the sense that we're going back to the days when you could walk down the street and have a deranged homeless man run a box cutter across your cheek at a high rate of speed. The violence began around 4:25 a.m. when the pair pushed a 44-year-old man sitting on a southbound 4 train, cops said. One of the attackers flashed a knife and slapped the strap hanger across the face, police said. I seriously hope that I never witness this in person. But I will say that when they say he flashed a knife, this is all hard for me to kind of, is it rectify or whatever the fuck the word is? Because I know who the guys doing this are. They're all kind of fucking, like, if you're paying attention, you can kind of read their moves. Like, it's not like, they're up to something. Like, you gotta keep your head on a swivel. So when they say he flashed a knife, I'm picturing a guy acting with, like, the speed of a samurai. Right? Because that is the only way they should be able to get you in the face. The second the knife comes out, you better be throwing punches and moving fucking evasively, right? The report should say the man was slashed in the forearm as he raised it to block his face from the fucking blade, okay? The knife-wielding suspect and his accomplice stayed on board and found a second victim, a 40-year-old man who was slashed in the face at 4:34 a.m., cops said. Another man, 41, was then punched in the face. And again, if you're not from this area, you got to understand what this is probably like. Underground in New York City in the 4 a.m. hour is, again, like I said during that street dispute, it's a fucking jungle. It is jungle fucking rules down there. And it's especially around that time, like that's sort of around the time that my commute, that window from like 4 to 6, 4 to 7 a.m. when the crackheads and the guys who have been up all night doing PCP they're on their way off the drugs, and they're starting to get real agitated, and the cops are kind of ushering them along because they know they have the morning commute is coming up. They're cranky, they're hungry. It really, really is a wild fucking scene. Like, it's not something that a normal person should be subjected to on their commute, and I don't imagine that this goes on in many other American cities, but you go down there and you better be like fucking knuck if you buck. Like, you better be ready to fucking throw. Like, seriously, idiots, I don't know how people go down there wearing fucking, they got their headphones in and they're looking at their phone. Like, that's how you get stabbed in the face, which is what's going on now. Face stabbing is a possibility during your commute in New York City. Back at the start of COVID, I got on the path at about 4 a.m. on my way into work, and it was literally the entire car was just lined with homeless guys, none of them observing social distancing, by the way, or wearing masks. They were all just sleeping on top of one another, using garbage bags as pillows. Like, it was fucking disgusting. The PATH train, which is basically the New Jersey to New York subway, was had been turned into a lodging house, like a lodging room at a homeless shelter. So I guess both victims got off at the Astor Place station. 3 minutes later, the man with the knife slashed a 44-year-old man in the head. Jeez. And then they sucker punched a guy as he talked on the phone. Again, yeah, this guy was talking on the phone at the Atlantic Ave at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Yeah. New York, New York. It's a hell of a town. What a fucking shithole. All right. I do have, let me change the old Chiron here. And on we go to other matters altogether. What a nice time. Isn't it nice talking about New York City? Maybe Bill Gates can save us. I don't know if he can save us, but the man does like pussy. I am so happy for Bill Gates. He's getting this divorce. The nice thing about being Bill Gates is, even if you lost 99% of your, like, if something just obscene in the divorce, something unrealistic, you're still fucking loaded. And you can probably still go make it back because you're Bill fucking Gates. But anyway, we all know Bill Gates is getting divorced from his frumpy ass wife Melinda. And you really you gotta hand it to him for doing it now. Finally. Well, he's got a few good years left, I guess. If you have Bill Gates money, what were you doing with Melinda Gates? And based on his tastes, because this is the headline that I really enjoyed. This really made me a Gates fan. Bill Gates, known for womanizing naked pool parties, biographer says. Behind his image as a straight-laced tech mogul, Bill Gates was notorious for throwing naked pool parties with strippers and being a womanizer even after meeting future wife Melinda, according to a biography. They didn't report on the wild bachelor parties that Microsoft's boyish chairman would throw in his Seattle home, for which Gates would often visit one of Seattle's all-nude nightclubs and hire dancers to come to his home and swim naked with his friends in his indoor pool, biographer James Wallace wrote. The reason you get an indoor pool is so you can invite strippers to your home and swim in it. If you have space in your home for a swimming pool, you're having strippers over to hang out. Like, that's why you make that kind of money. Like, it's great. For years, all of these dopes thought that it was all about, altruism and charity and making the world a better place, which I don't doubt that Bill Gates wants to do in some capacity, whatever capacity he believes that to be, because I think when you have that kind of money, you probably do get very bored and you start looking for purpose. Like that Elon Musk wants to go populate Mars. Like, you start looking for shit to do, right? Like, it's like people who retire. Like, my mom retired last year and she's taken up gardening. But fucking Bill Gates he's got too much money to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking garden. Like, I mean, he could. I'm sure it would be a delight. My mother seems to love it. But if you're a nerd and you've spent your life accumulating untold billions of dollars, then you're spending that money on pussy, okay? Mother Nature does not give a fuck about you donating that money to charity, clean drinking water in Africa, any of that. If Mother Nature gave a shit about about people in Africa having clean drinking water, Mother Nature would have given Africa cleaner drinking water. Mother Nature wants Bill Gates to take his billions of dollars and sling his fucking dick all over the goddamn place. You remember Christopher Walken in Bridesmaids? It's nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins. And nature tells you to sling that fucking dick. It was a continuation from his time at Harvard, where he did like to frequent Boston's notorious Combat Zone. With its I love that there was a place called the Combat Zone, although I will say that if you told me there was a place called the Combat Zone and people went there for erotic fun, I would believe that you were referencing some sort of gay thing. It sounds like buff gay men dressed as gladiators or warriors through the ages, sort of having, I don't know if you guys, there's a lesbian version of this, and I'm sure there's a gay one too, where two women will fight each other in the octagon, and then the winner will fuck the loser with a strap on. It's fantastic. It's called like All Girl Sex Fight or something like that. In any case, when someone says the Combat Zone, I imagine that the I'm quite shocked that the homosexuals had not already appropriated it, because Boston is probably after Boston and Philadelphia are in competition for most homosexual city on the East Coast. But that's neither here nor there, because Bill Gates was going to Boston's notorious Combat Zone with its porn shows, strip joints, and prostitutes. And again, who could blame him? I mean, if you're a student at Harvard, you know that upon graduation, if you so choose, you will become master of the fucking universe. So why not spend that time? And Bill Gates, of course, fulfilled that destiny, has become one of the masters of the universe. So why not spend part of your time in academia, taking in porn shows, strip joints, and prostitutes? My friends and I in college were in no way preparing for lives as masters of the universe. At best, most of us upper middle class, some might get real lucky and tickle the sack of the 1%. But I mean, even we did this shit. I remember the football guy. Our freshman year homecoming, we fucking blew out Dickinson, and all the freshmen got to play in the varsity game because it was like we're up. It was like 55-7. It was homecoming. I made a fucking tackle. It was awesome. As a freshman, I made a tackle in a varsity college game. It was so fucking cool. And then afterwards, we went down to Al's Diamond Cabaret in Reading, Pennsylvania, and we got lap dances, and we watched the Naked Women of Reading, Pennsylvania, which is it's not the greatest thing in the world, but when you're 18 years old and you're fucking hammered and you just played in your first varsity college football game, it'll do. You feel like you're in the NFL when that's happening. And of course, we did not have the funds to return to our dorm with any of the strippers or prostitutes or what have you. In fact, at Al's, they make you exchange your cash for Al's diamond dollars so that your money is entirely useless. But we did get back, and I did almost die funneling vodka and Pepsis with the kicker from the football team. And then after having funneled several of those in a very short period of time, I ate a bag of chips and a jar of salsa. And when I attempted to go to sleep, I laid down on my back, and just seconds later, like the fucking Exorcist, I just popped up, projectile vomited all over my comforter and down my bare chest, fell back asleep in a sea of vomit, and I woke up, and it was like, you've heard, of course, the urban legend about those guys who, they wake up in the ice bath and they're stitched up and there's a note about their kidneys. That's what it felt like. Like, I looked down, and because the salsa from my vomiting, the undigested salsa, was lining the center of my chest, I thought that I had been cut open and my internal organs had been removed. It was only after a look around the room that I surmised that I had, in fact, just vomited everywhere before going to sleep the night before. And, of course, my junior year of college, during track season, the night before, the Thursday before our home invitational, I was a 400-meter hurdler. I was going over some hurdles, warming up. My parents were going to come out. I had a great season the year before. I'd made it to the conference finals. I scored a point in the conference championships. I was pumped to have a great junior season. And of course, I blew a hamstring going over a hurdle in practice before the second meet of the year. Ended my season, but that night we did head up to the Poconos and go to a little place called the Pleasure Dome. So I understand what Bill Gates is up to. As the article explains, his bachelor lifestyle didn't end when he first started dating future wife Melinda French in 1988. I believe the Mets won the NL East that year. Wallace wrote in the biography, one of two he has penned about Gates. He continued to play the field for a while, especially when he was out of town on business, when he would frequently hit on female journalists who covered Microsoft and the company industry, the author wrote. His womanizing was well known, although not well reported, Wallace wrote, singling out the Times for not wanting the flow of information to stop from the computer guru. Again, by the way, this is no-brainer shit. You do not make Bill Gates money and then live a life of celibacy. There is only one reason to make Bill Gates money, and that is for the pussy, okay? Guys who make way less money than Bill Gates are also making money for the sake of getting pussy, okay? Pussy and money go together quite well. If you're a guy who could not otherwise get pussy, if you have a lot of money, it will make the getting of pussy considerably easier. A relationship with Bill early on is a test. Are you smart enough? Do you have enough common sense? Can you make the grade? Are you athletic enough? An ex-girlfriend told Wallace in his book. And I love that line, athletic enough. Gates gets it, all right? Again, when you have Bill Gates' money and you are searching out a potential partner, you get to choose a spry woman who will fuck your brains out. All right? No lazies, no fatties. Get ready to ride this hog. Which amazes me when they tell us here that Melinda is Bill's pick. Melinda Gates does not look like she knows how to ride a dick. Like, you don't look at Melinda Gates and say, this woman knows how to throw that fucking ass around. Melinda Gates very much looks like a missionary under the covers, lights off, oral on your birthday, anniversary, and maybe Christmas Day. He could have chosen any woman as a wife for life. He has chosen her, and that means she is an exceptional woman. But again, not. And perhaps the intelligence and all that shit. I don't know. I've never had a conversation with the broad. I ain't seen her SAT scores. I'm just surmising here. But look at A-Rod and Ben Affleck. Now, they have chosen a stallion to cast their lot with. J-Lo, even at her relatively advanced age, is a fucking stallion. That's what Gates needs. Next broad, Gates lands a fucking stallion, okay? But I do appreciate that he is so discerning, or at least attempts to discern, in his mate selection. Like, he's like Bill Belichick putting together a draft board. And we should note that if Bill Belichick can move on from Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and the success that those two brought him, then Bill Gates, with his many billions of dollars and considerable influence on the world scene, should have no trouble moving on to Frumpfest Melinda Gates. Melinda is not exactly a name that screams, I'll fuck your brains out. On the other hand, if you out there are a Melinda and you disagree and you think you can fuck some brains out, well then, you let us know in the comments and you shoot me a private message and we'll find out. We'll make some content out of it. Start an OnlyFans where I fuck chicks named Melinda to see if they're up to snuff. Former Microsoft executive Vern Rayburn, which is just an amazing fucking name. The world needs more Vern Rayburn. Agreed with the biography's take on Gates, his longtime friend, alleging to the Daily Mail that there was infidelity during Gates' early relationship with Melinda. Yeah, Melinda is the name of a chick that gets cheated on. Being naked in a pool is no big deal, Rayburn told the outlet, but there's a difference between being naked in a pool with a whole bunch of other people and being naked in a pool with somebody else, or in a bed with somebody else, he said of Gates not being faithful to Melinda at first. Isn't that how OJ banged Kris Jenner, by the way? I think it went down in a hot tub, allegedly. With OJ, we always used the word allegedly. Hey, Twitter world, it's yours truly. Now, I didn't fuck Kris Jenner. I would never do that to my good friend Rob. I do love seeing Bill Gates and O.J. Simpson on the same level. What a party that would be. That would be the Could you... I would love to have dinner with O.J. and Bill Gates. I would prefer that O.J.'s steak be cut for him before it be served. He'll keep the cutlery at a safe arm's distance. But what a dinner that would be. Hey, Bill Gates, it's yours truly. What do you say we jump in the hot tub and bang some white women? Oh, no, I didn't mean anything by that. Now, let me talk to you about Pat Mahomes, because I am excited about Patrick Mahomes. This kid can play. Certainly prior to their marriage, yeah, Bill liked to party. But I never saw any of that after the marriage, Rayburn said. He's covering for his buddy, of course, because there are divorce proceedings. In fact, I had dinner with him one night. He said he was very proud of the fact that he hadn't done any of that since he got married. I love it. He is so much the deadbeat redneck. He is the character that Tony Hinchcliffe was doing on stage, promising his trailer park, his 19-year-old trailer park cousin wife that he's done sneaking round behind her back. Billy said he wasn't gonna run round cheating on me with no more floozies and pay his share, raise a baby, and this time I believe him. I don't. Run, Melinda. A lot of those Microsoft kids back then, they were young guys in pizza-stained t-shirts for 2 or 3 days working on software code. Then they would have some pretty wild parties where they would go out and get strippers in Seattle and bring them over to Bill's home, he said, of the apparent wild bashes in Laurelhurst, Washington. Boy, you didn't expect to hear that, did you? No, I don't know where Laurelhurst, Washington is, but Laurelhurst, Washington does not sound like the locale for wild stripper-infused bashes. I hear Laurelhurst, Washington, and I'm thinking of sort of, an aging granola crunching hippie woman who, though she may still enjoy a vibrant sex life, probably has a massive bush and a flat, wrinkly ass. Because that's what a life of tofu will do. You're not going to build those buns on a vegan diet. You got to eat a steak or two, honey. Then they would. Sorry, I didn't want to reread that paragraph. Wallace said he doubted Gates would return to his naked pool partying days post-divorce. Well, let me tell you something, Wallace. You're out of your fucking mind. If you're a newly single multi-billionaire and one of the most famous men on the planet, you will absolutely be returning to the naked hot tub party lifestyle. Bill has probably been dreaming of this day since he married frumpy-ass Melinda. Like, on their wedding night, he probably told her, like, he wanted to fucking, he wanted to fuck her in the ass and come on her tits, and she probably, they probably had to have, like, slow, passionate, take my breath away, fucking loser sex. Yeah. He wants his hot tub strippers back. And I say, to close the episode, I say good for Bill Gates. And what I'm going to do now, for Bill Gates, I'm going to put something on the screen that I know Bill Gates would really appreciate. And that's a big set of tits. Gaze upon them. And I'll change the banner here to remind you bastards to subscribe. Alright? You're watching it. I know you're watching the live stream here on either facebook.com/The Savage Crew or YouTube, Mike Montone, whatever the fuck. Just Google, if you Google search Mike Montone, YouTube, Savage Sacktap, you'll find it. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the follow, hit the subscribe. All of these stupid sites have a different cutesy little fucking word for the same thing I'm trying to tell you, which is consume the content, share it with your friends. We're having a good time here. You're getting it all for free, so even if it blows, all you have to do is turn it off. That's fun for you. That's convenient. Facebook.com/The Savage Crew, at Mike Montone on Twitter. Instagram, at Gary_Moyler, Moyler. I just put something fresh up today. Well, Friday, the day of the live stream. I don't know when you're listening to this, but check it out. Maybe there is something new today, no matter what day it is. Fuckers. What else? What are the other platforms? Meatheadmedia.com, my website. And the podcast, The Savage Sacktap, of course, is available around the internet. TheSavageCrew.libsyn, LIBSYN.com is sort of the home page for that. But all over iTunes, like I said at the top of the show, iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, all over the goddamn place. We're in some podcast on some podcast website in India for a while. They were devouring it over there, which I'm assuming was just by accident. I think it just got fed after some other fucking show when there was an autoplay of some kind. Skewed the numbers for a few months, though. Made me feel like my cock was huge. The point is, if your cock is getting huge looking at these big tits, you know you can find similar tits every week, usually Fridays at 8 p.m., but the summer is always a wonky time for such things. I really, truly appreciate you guys tuning in. Drew Fiddler, I see chiming in here on the live stream. Fiddler, you're the fucking man. It's a veteran like myself. He's doing amazing things in the medical community. He's got a fantastic sense of humor, and I know he also shares some of my meat-headed weightlifting tendencies. Good to hear from you, Fiddler. I hope all is well. I see Cam Smith, my good college buddy. We were just texting about the show this afternoon while I was interviewing crazy people in Washington Square Park. Thank you. Roland Perez Jr., salsa on the chest. Yeah, it was awful. It was awful, Roland. I spent the entire day, because it was a freshman dorm, my shit was all soiled, so I cleaned myself off, but I couldn't function for the day. I was done. And my roommate used to go home on weekends, so I went and just crashed on his still clean bed for the day. And then he walked in with his fucking parents and saw my mattress on the floor along with a pile of soiled sheets, and they they dropped his bags and walked right the fuck out. And then I eventually came to and had a mango smoothie, and that helped things. Wayside Wade, always good to see you jumping in, and thank you again, Dustin and Roland, for weathering the operator error. I'm going to jump off now. I have to make a little din. What do I have for dinner tonight? Did I get fish? I have pasta and what? I believe I have a fish. Oh yeah, salmon. Ooh, this is gonna be good. A little lemon butter salmon over angel hair pasta. I've earned it. You guys have earned however you're spending your evening tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week. Adios, motherfuckers.